Howdy healers, welcome to Zero to KSM Hero, a series where I'll be attempting the Keystone Master Challenge in patch 9.1.5 on a brand new healer. The rules are simple. For the Alliance, least favored healer, least popular covenant, only moderate help from main character allowed, no linking raid or IO to main character, hugging only, and finally the challenge must be finished before posting the first video to avoid any external help or assistance, and of course for the sake of integrity. Alright, so right on the tail of our last video, we are looking for another group. Let's go. We're feeling pretty good. We timed the last two, feels like nothing can go wrong, or at least not wrong enough to like demoralize us entirely, right? So we're going to start applying to some keys. We still need Halls of Atonement, a Plaguefall, and a Spires on Tyrannical just to like fill things out. So we might as well look around and see what we got. See, apply to a couple, and boom, we get into a 5 Spires. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, considering we did, like, a 9 already now, but we are desperate, okay? And beggars can't be choosers. We are the beggars in this instance. We don't have our particularly high eye level, and neither is our score that high, so we're gonna take what we can get into. It's all about building up IO.
Where do we strike?
I'm stupid and literally don't know what I'm doing. I'm actually just kind of hoping that there'll be enough people there to summon me by the time I get there, maybe? I don't know. I should have just flown to Hero's Rest or whatever and behaved myself. But sometimes we make mistakes, even outside of dungeons. Alright, let's go. We feel somewhat confident here because we've done a 9 and this is a 5, so in theory it should be easier. This is where our my stupid statue is like not finding a path. Really annoying. My heart about like dropped out of my chest here because I thought he was gonna pull all of that at once, and like obviously it looks like we have a red paladin here like maybe capable of handling that, but it like I don't want to take a chance, like the first pull of the dungeon, like I wouldn't want it to be garbage. These pulls can be like very high damage, like obviously the higher the key you go, the worse it is. I should at least be, yeah, doing a little damage here, putting Mystic Touch up, because we have 3 physical DPS again. I think this is where I get invited to these groups, like, and it's because I have Mystic Touch, so it feels pretty stupid to not be putting it up, because that's probably why I got invited in the first place. But look at our interrupts there. Like, people are interrupting, which, they could be interrupting more, but, like, look, beggars can't be choosers, and we don't have an interrupt, so we'll take whatever we can get at this point. The faster these mobs die, like, the less awful things are. At least in my experience. Those dark lashes can, like, really hurt. Again, we got some interrupts. I'm feeling euphoric, actually. Look, I know it sounds silly, like, and if you play a shaman, maybe it's not that big of a deal to you, but for those of us who don't have an interrupt, we would love to see interrupts in our DPS. Like, we're 100% reliant on them. Like, I could go in and stun, maybe, but, like, that's once a minute or whatever, and it's not even a reliable stun since so many mobs are immune to it. Alright, here we go. We got somebody interrupting Rebellious Fist. We love to see that. We got somebody interrupting the Doctrine. Like, I feel like I have the best group ever right now. Alright, people are making some mistakes, but, like, it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're fine. Because people are trying. I'll take it. Again, if you're a DPS and you don't know what to interrupt, be honest with you. Interrupt anything. Anything's better than nothing. Be like, oh, is this a cast that I should, interrupt? Is it the important one? I don't care. Just interrupt anything. Alright, so I did my sworn duty and put Mystic Touch up. Finally. Look, I'm getting the hang of it. It's just terrifying for me to be in melee, so... Dodge the things.
Your doom takes flight. It's too far away.
I feel like this part is usually pretty easy. Usually being the keyword. Alright, we got some heroism going on here. The hunter is a movement god. Look at him go. This is why Beast Mastery is superior. And I say that as like a marksman hunter. Like, Beastmaster is so easy to do while moving that like, I feel like you do have some advantages. I will be clicking for the rest of my WoW career, so like just get used to it. Sometimes I remember the key press. It's like the G shift and like one of my 12 side mouse buttons. I'm pretty bad at remembering the exact combo. I tried to eat for like a second. These guys do a lot of damage, and I think it's like a stacking bleed probably. So you don't want to sit and drink for too long while your tank is face tanking them. They can be pretty ouchy. And if you think they're bad now, wait till necrotic. Look at me. I'm learning. I'm doing some damage. My tank is really good at helping himself. And he's not taking that much damage. And see, and as a Mistweaver, not that much damage is like, can I heal him in a few globals? Then he's probably not that bad. Is the bar low? I mean, I really don't know because I haven't done these keys as like anything else. And I think when I was DPSing in keys, I was panicking anyway, so I certainly wasn't paying attention to how much damage the tank was taking. Alright, here we go. This Dark Seeker dude, Dark Praetor, is really annoying. I hate him. I don't know what he thinks he's doing, but he's annoying. Alright, it's our double Goliath pool. This can either be like a simple experience, or it can be the actual worst. There is almost never an in-between here. We have a fist. It got interrupted. We have another one. The second one went off there, but that's okay. It's okay. You see how I can heal through one of those, but there is no way that I could have healed through like 3 or 4 of them. We pull more, our tank, boom, instantly gets aggro. I don't dispel immediately, I wait a little bit. Which is usually the play there. Like, I did learn from last time, where I think last time I dispelled immediately instead of waiting a few more seconds. If you wait a few more seconds, they'll be done casting that stupid venom, and then when you dispel it, it's actually meaningful. If you dispel it immediately, they'll just apply another one, so... see, I've learned. Can I cross that off the bingo if I'm the one learning? Or does it only count if it's somebody else? I don't know. We're gonna say that it probably counts. This pull is very annoying
Loved ones, all in the name of service.
because of the guy that jumps out.
We serve.
The skirmishers can die in a fire. I hate them. If you are a druid here, you should totally use and save Ursul's Vortex just for this pull to ensure that those skirmishers aren't able to jump out. See how much I hate him? I just kill him immediately. Sometimes death is the only answer. Alright, here we got a big pool with some dark lashes going out. This is probably going to be rough. I tried to use that, but I have like negative 20 depth perception, so that didn't work. Waited to dispel in the hopes that I would get the venom off and it wouldn't immediately be applied again. Immediately be reapplied, I guess is what I wanted to say. And it did seem to work out pretty good. And like, this was a totally manageable pull. Alright, put my statue down, drank. Tank can trust that I'm paying attention and that I won't be drinking for too long. The Dark Praetor is being annoying again. I keep pushing him closer to melee because, like, in my mind, it's like, well, one, I don't want people to forget that he's there. And two, sometimes you can get him close enough for cleave. Not always. Mostly he just annoys me and I want him away from me. This pool can be a little bit rough too. Some people like to do a little CC here, but it's a 5, so I doubt anybody is going to be like, oh, let's CC. The stairs here definitely, you know, block your line of sight. Again, the Insidious Venom isn't that big of a deal to interrupt because I can dispel it if I need to, since, you know, I'm skilled like that. But it's still better for these people to interrupt something rather than nothing. Like, it's okay that he interrupted the wrong thing. It was still damage that the tank didn't take because it was interrupted, right? Tank's looking a little spiced there. I'm gonna have to help him. But that's okay. He's been, like, practically self-sufficient the whole dungeon, so me actually doing my job isn't, like, gonna make me sad or anything. Double roll, drink. And you can see my mana's pretty high, but I'm not gonna not drink.
This is where you meet your end.
Again, that, like, 15 to 20% mana that I didn't have, that I now have, could make a difference. Anyway, I stayed out of melee, but I still put my Mystic Touch up.
Second to none.
I'm terrified of this boss. Literally always. I hate this boss. Her and her stupid little, like, dark spear things. I hate them. The tank isn't really stacking them up super well, but that's a 5. Who cares? My goal is to just get as far away as possible so I have the most time to dodge. But, like, actually, even though I was making fun, like, all the orbs are facing the other way, mostly. So this isn't too bad. This is, like, easy mode dodge. The thing is, like, I think DPS actually have it a little bit harder here, because if you want to be good, and by good I mean you want to do good damage, you have to, like, still be avoiding the orbs, because, especially at high key levels, those will blast you into oblivion and you'll pretty much die in one shot. So, like, you're dodging the orbs, and you're trying to do your rotation, and, like, it's just a lot, I feel like. As a healer, it's like, well, all I gotta do is heal and avoid the orbs. It's a little bit easier. I do eventually figure out, by the way, that you can jump on those angels as they fly by. It's not, like, a huge time saver, but it's kind of neat. I guess if you end that fight at like no mana, being able to get on the angel that fast and then just helps you drink faster. Even though this is like the longest, boring part of the dungeon. You should just be grateful for it as a healer, because like if you don't have full mana, you will by the time you get to the end of it. And I guess this is a nice looking dungeon, so at least it's not ugly to look at. This guy's doing a big pull here. He's not messing around. The advantage to doing a big pull here is we'll either make it or we won't. I don't know. Probably save some time if you... But also, he's taking the approach that I talked about a couple of episodes ago when we had the failed mists skip. Is it worth it if people mess up the skip? No. It is not worth it. It is never worth it. And this tank is like, F it, I'm just gonna pull these guys. They'll die in they died in like 2 seconds. But see, then he tries to skip this, and this is usually a disaster. So what I started doing here is... And see, and I wasn't even that close or anything. So, I don't know what happened there. It was unpleasant. So, Forced Confession you should definitely get rid of as soon as possible. I don't know why I stood in that, but it was embarrassing. This is where I do wish that you could cancel the pod, and maybe you can cancel the pod early, but I was always worried if I like cancel it, it'll kill me, instead of just like stop healing me, because it does heal you, you know, a certain amount. Don't release, dude. I don't know where you'll be, but I wouldn't release, because we're gonna live. But good question. Do you release at the last boss? I mean, just that, like, the angel path all the way back over here is not worth releasing. As long as you know everybody else in the group is gonna live. I'm like ready to ready. Let's go. Yeah, I didn't play that well there. I was a little cringy. Speaking of cringe, I'm probably, yeah, like, I guess that went okay there. Sometimes I'll take aggro on accident. It's wild that the hunter used wild spirits here. But whatever it takes to kill those guys, I guess. We don't question it. We just act grateful. Alright, Mystic Touch up. I do tend to do some damage on this boss because he's not that bad.
It's too far away.
Stack. And zoom.
I'm out of range.
This is where the tank made his first, like, confusing choice, I think. Because usually you start up by where we are now, and you move, like, back. Kind of where I'm standing, or back to the wall or whatever. And he goes that way instead, which is not something I'm used to seeing. And also it can be really confusing, like especially for the melee DPS, like where the boss is gonna go. Like you want to be kind of predictable there when possible. Also interesting is this is another group without a battle res. That seems to be what happens. And oh my god. Yeah, like I think nobody was soaking those orbs. That was an experience that I had. So, didn't enjoy that. The goal here as a tank, I think, is to just try to be predictable in your movement so that your damagers can follow you without, you know, and have more uptime on the boss. Obviously, the more uptime they have, the better.
You must be annihilated.
I think I just saw a Night Fae Paladin. So that was something. I've run into a few, like, DPS or tank Night Fae Paladins, which is pretty cool. Haven't seen a lot of Holy Paladins that are Night Fae. I think it's really cool, in theory, but in practice it sucks. You feel like you have nothing. This is where I really wished I had a battle res. Like, this would just go so much faster with a battle res. Obviously, I can keep healing it basically forever. Because, like, nobody's taking that much damage.
All who oppose us will be destroyed. The anima. It is overwhelming.
Alright, we figured it out. We figured out the anima absorb part. Thank goodness. I could have also cocooned the tank there just to, like, help him absorb a little bit better, but especially at the end, like, where he had the...
Be destroyed.
My experience there, too, is running out of that. If you don't, like, really boogie, you probably will get hit by that thing. So, like, always save a roll or a blink or whatever for that. The one thing I don't use is Soul Shape there, and I really should be using Soul Shape to get out of that. It seems like it would be easy.
I can still fight.
This is where it's worth releasing, because you literally spawn right here. But our guy didn't release, so I just went ahead and rezzed him. Alright, well that was a little bit scary. A little bit, stressful. But luckily we had, like, one, like, above average DPS. Otherwise, that would have just never worked. I don't know why I was looking at the chat. Probably just to see if anybody said anything while we were fighting. I know in a lot of groups you'll see when it's just a couple people alive, you'll see the people that died, like, cheering on the group in the chat. Like, you guys could do it, or whatever, and that's always fun. I think it really helps. It's encouraging. So if you die, if, like, most of the group is dead and you got, like, the tank and healer alive, then, like, cheer them on or whatever. I think it helps. Now to my least favorite part of the dungeon. I say that even though I hate the first hall, and I hate the second boss. This is my third least favorite. Perhaps higher than the second boss, even. I don't know. This group is pretty good. Like, stuff's dying pretty quick, so it's not that awful. But I hate these angels, and I don't think everyone ever did the triple angel pull on me here. On this healer. I've had it happen to my DPS before, and it was awful, but nobody did it to my healer. Like, they just recognize that I'm not that good at the game, probably. And they're like, oh, better not do that. Maybe that's like a hack? Like, don't be good enough at healing to, like, give your tank confidence in doing a triple angel pull. I mean, obviously at, like, a 20 key or whatever, it probably saves you so much time to do it right that it's worth it. But otherwise, like, no. Also, if you didn't notice, our hunter used their self-heal there, so that was nice. Like, they didn't have to, but it was smart of them to, just in case, like... I mean, if I would have been any other healer, I don't think I could have healed him very quickly. Like, I think Monk has, like, the fastest ability to, like, get somebody to full health. So any other healer would have had to do, like, a cast time heal, or I guess Holy Priest might have Serenity available, but if they didn't have Serenity, then it would take them like a couple of seconds to get him up, whereas, like, it was pretty quick for me, but he was playing it safe, and I respect that. Alright, here we go. I think if it wasn't for the last boss, this would definitely be a good group overall kind of group, and I'd probably, like, check that off the bingo. But that last boss was so bad. Get some double hats on this. She's in the Christmas spirit, okay? Like, she might be the enemy, but she loves Christmas. While I'm at it, I think I might have mentioned this before, but I really think Devos would have been a really cool, like, boss to not kill and to only, like, rip. She would have been really cool to not kill and to, like, face later, or, like, to see some kind of reconciliation between her and the whoever the heck it is. I don't remember. Her soulbind or whatever. If you can't tell, I didn't do the Kyrian campaign all the way through, so I don't remember her name. Starts with she's, like, in this dungeon even. Her wings get in the way. She's right over there. I'm gonna know her name here. Or Carestia. Yeah, Carestia. So, like, if she would have been able to reconcile with her, it could have been, like, such a good storyline. Like, but no. We didn't get that. We had to just kill her. And it was like, she's actually compelling and interesting. Like, seeing her work with Carestia to, like, get the, like, for Bastion, because you know how they, like, end up kind of, like, agreeing with Devos eventually? It's like, we could have had something really good with that storyline-wise. And I'm sure that some people would have thought it was boring, but, like, most people think the storyline is boring, so at this point, anything's better than nothing.
This spear shall pierce your heart.
Also, I want you guys to know that when I started playing Shadowlands, and I did this on normal for the first time, it says to move to the thing in normal, even though there isn't one. And I panicked. Like, every time I'm like, where is it? Am I stupid? And you're just supposed to not stand in some kind of an explosion instead? I was like, whatever design they did for normal is ridiculous and bad, actually. And I'm bad at trying to move out of the way. I can't get over her Christmas cheer right now. Move to the Bastion.
I will strike you down. The spires obey my command. It's too far away.
I actually dreaded this part for the longest time. And I'm not really sure why. I think on my hunter it just felt really bad, maybe. And I thought, God, the amount of damage that everybody takes here is really high. Now, it's possible that they nerfed it in 9.1. Or even, like, before 9.1. Like, after I quit. But... or took a break, I guess is the more accurate term. This would be a great time to revival. Boom. I love that past me was, while silly and stupid sometimes, occasionally did things correctly. Alright, she's almost dead. And we're on track. It's not like we're not gonna time it. There we go. Yay. We even have somebody else rezzing our hunter, which is nice. And look at that, we plus 2'd this.
One that must be healed. Long have we believed that our mortal lives
And no, like, real loot, so that's sad. But again, this just goes to prove. Granted, it's not that high of a key, right? We're just a +5, but like we plus 2'd it with 2 of our DPS dead on the next to last boss. And oh yeah, my happy fun rock. Congrats to Viral Messiah for getting my happy fun rock. That's what you get for being a good DPS and staying alive and stuff. I feel, again, I think it feels good to time keys like this, because it's like, oh yeah, people made mistakes, but like, it wasn't awful. Like, and there were quite a few mistakes going on, and it still wasn't awful. So I guess that's a something, right? Like, we all took avoidable damage, we all did things we weren't supposed to, we all, like, I don't know, fat-fingered stuff or forgot mechanics at times, and we still plus 2'd it. So we're feeling kind of positive here. It's also probably worth noting that our hunter was from Frostmourne, so I bet you $1 million that he was lagging in that dungeon, and that's probably why he struggled a little bit in certain points, because, you know, lag. It do be like that sometimes, but it didn't stop the group from timing the keys, so it wasn't that bad, I guess. Anyway, I'm feeling charitable, so let's cross off learn something new on the one bingo card. It might as well be positive. I learned a lot, so we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for it. Like, for sure, I learned so many things in these dungeons by the end of this that, like, it's probably been checked off like 50 times by the end. So I look for a dungeon for about 6 minutes before I get into another one. So I did cut most of that out because, like, it's boring to watch me just, like, apply to a bunch of groups and they get delisted or I get declined or I just get left on red for a long time. And that happens a lot where people leave you on red. So I did eventually get into a dungeon, a +9 Halls of Atonement. So I happily took that invite. Alright, so we got into the halls, we are here, we are mostly prepared, it's another 9, we feel somewhat confident that we can do it. And we have a Death Knight tank, so I am tracking that sweet runic power just to see how things look. Death Knights are pretty good in this for the first pull just because they can help, like, grip the extra mobs in to melee, so it's not too bad. Again, we have quite a few physical DPS in the group, so I should be trying to get Mystic Touch up as often as possible, even though, naturally, like, making sure that people don't die is also important. We also agreed to Lust on the first pull, and then the second boss and the last boss, provided, of course, that, you know, it's off cooldown by then. Our mage went ahead and grabbed the Stoneborn themselves. And then I stood in bad. I'm trying to stay out of the melee's way, just in case. So far, this group is pretty easy to heal. I'm not having any real problem. These Stoneborn, by the way, are so good. I don't think they're as necessary as, you know, some other dungeons have, like, I don't know. Like, you really want a Night Fae and Mists, but this doesn't feel as necessary. And everybody is, like, crowd controlling these bears so that they don't get to our tank while they're enraged, because we only have one enraged dispel, and even then, like, you know. Looks like he did trank shot the one eventually, but, like, you know, it's always better to play it safe than sorry. You can't ever assume that people are going to be super fast at dispelling it, even if they know to do it. Look at that. We even get interrupts from our mage, so, like, that's awesome. We're getting quite a bit of damage here, as is expected when you have a shard. I did an enveloping there because I knew that I was going to have to move again, so I wouldn't be able to immediately just, you know, blast another Vivify, so that worked out pretty good. Usually an enveloping and a renewing on the tank is like more than enough to get him through just about anything. It's a lot of healing, especially with this legendary. It can be a lot if it comes right after a Vivify. Alright, so I know that I'm kind of low on mana, so I'm trying to hurry, trying to be like the first one over here so that I can drink. I could have definitely gone a little bit closer before I drank, but this works just fine. The tank seems to know what he's doing, the other Death Knight is helping out with grip, and they only want these 4 mobs over there. This is a perfectly manageable pool. Our mage even used their shield there to, like, you know, ensure that they wouldn't die. Which is nice. Like, we could have cocooned them, but it's so much better to not have to use our cooldown right there. We have plenty of more dangerous pools coming up. Definitely want to dispel that Siphon Life immediately. It's actually horrifying how much damage that does at high levels. I'm being pretty bad about getting Mystic Touch on the mobs. They're, I guess, better late than never, right? Alright, that went pretty well, I think. Again, I'm gonna drink here, and then I'm gonna roll off. Life hack. I feel like it works for a Shaman's Ghost Wolf too. You could probably just jump at the edge of it and get down with the group pretty easy. Things are a little spicy, right? So I'm like saving my Ring of Peace in case I can use it in another second. You just never know. It's coming. Bam. It sucks that I had to push the Houndmaster over there and then like I can't get them back. But that's what the Death Knight's grips are for, I guess. And it's still better than them like casting Loyal Beast and then our tank having to run from it. Ring of Peace is still on cooldown. Bears are large. The mage is slowing them. Ring of Peace is back up, but the mage has got it, I feel like. So I'm not that worried. But look how much damage they did to our tank right there. I definitely could have Ring of Peace them. But, you know, when the mage has got it, the mage has got it. Sit and drink a little bit, just because this can be a little healing intensive. Especially if you don't catch that stupid Siphon Life right away. I feel like I'm cutting it a little close standing there. Just be careful. There are mobs behind me. I'm a bit wasteful with my mana, like using Vivify when I'm pretty sure renewing is gonna take care of people. Want to be careful not to pull this Stoneborn. That's the mage's job. Time to drink. Finally put Mystic Touch up when everything's practically dead. Somebody's stunned, so that's good. Mage has their boy. I take a sip. But that's all I'm getting. Because you want to be in the ring. This is another group that isn't doing this too well. The hunter and I are at least standing at the back here, sort of, trying to bait it. But like, this is definitely a group where we're not really doing this boss as ideally as possible. You kind of want to fill the back corners here first if possible. At least we've opened up, like, kind of a clear spot on one side. Tank is trying to get him out of the goop. But sometimes there's only so much you can do. Like, we did better than nothing, and honestly, we did pretty good with the beam deciding to bounce back. Sometimes it doesn't bounce back, it'll just keep going in the same direction the whole time. But because it bounced back, nobody had to stand in the broken glass or whatever.
It's too far away.
I was standing a little too close to that crumbling slam for my liking, but if it works, it works. Alright, we got our beams again. And it's not gonna go back, so we gotta go over. I did get hit by a beam in my roll. Our hunter almost died. That was so close. I don't know that using Soul Shape would have been any better there, rather than roll, so I probably should have Tiger's Lusted instead. This is a pretty easy pull, though.
It's too far away.
I guess it's to make up for that boss sometimes being the worst. But we're doing way better than we were in the last episode where I was here, so I'll take it. You can see that this tank usually heals, so... Like, they're a Keystone Master healer, so that's nice. Can we invis? I mean... Yeah, I can too. The key is to have at least one person that can res, that can invis. Anybody else can just go through. The mage can use invis, and the hunter can use camouflage if they have taken that talent, if they respect they can have that talent. Otherwise, it's up to... This is where, as a healer, you definitely want to have an invis pot, because you want to be somebody that can skip, because you can res. Everybody else, if you invis up there, everybody else can just pull the mobs and die on the stairs, and then you can invis them. What am I doing? I'm scared is what I am. 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 I'm Okay. The Death Knight, if he doesn't have an invis pot, will just have to come die on the stairs. Alternatively, he can do it correctly, but I'm really bad at depth perception, so for me it's an invis pot or I'm about to just die. Alright, so we do have lust available for this boss. We're ready. We got it. Some people hate this boss. They think he's the worst. I actually like this boss, and something I later learn is to bait the pulls on the side if possible, like against the walls or whatever. I didn't get one right away this time, but that's okay. You want to kind of stack on the tank loosely here, just to be able to take care of those guys. And then it's handy to be close enough to get to the guys. And then if you don't get the leap, you have a couple seconds to get out. The mage does have a curse dispel, so like they could be dispelling curses. They're not really doing that a lot, but that's okay. If everybody else does it correctly, it's not really a concern. Okay, so this is where I want to get out of the way because I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be leaped upon. Leapt upon, I guess might be how you should say that, but... You want to kind of be close so that you can put the leap on these little gargoyles. If you do get the leap on them, it perma-kills them. And if you don't kill them, the next time he does the stone call, you'll get, they'll, like, come back to life. Actually, it looked like the mage dispelled the curse off of the tank that time. This has been, like, smooth as hell so far. I have the leap and I'm dumb. I'm like just trying to get in here. Bet you ain't killing me, bro. Alright. He's almost dead. Alright, a lot of groups do a line of sight pull here, but not all of them do. I tend to drink in the doorway if I can. This is definitely not a group where they're doing a line of sight pull, so I'm still easily in line of sight to heal. I do my sworn diligence and get Mystic Touch up on most of these. I wasn't fast enough, or I hit the wrong guy with it, or probably didn't even hit anybody that I should have hit with it. But that's okay. We have the mage, we have Death Knight using their, I forget the name of it, their Icy Slow, which is really cool. I haven't played a Frost Death Knight, like, hardcore since, a while, actually. Since, like, Kata, probably? Strand of the Ancients. I was king in there with Howling Blast, so... When they took away my Strand of the Ancients, I got sad. Got that Siphon Life right away. And no, I can't tell what it is. I just know that there is, you know, a magic dispel available. That's what my add-on is telling me. It doesn't tell me it's Siphon Life. I could definitely, like, set it up so that it did tell me. The thing is, like, I don't care. I kind of... There's only a couple of options at any point in the dungeon. And in this dungeon, the option is that it's Siphon Life. So I know what it is, and I'm gonna get it. On to the next boss we go.
Your penance is at hand.
We got some Stoneborn here. I'm doing my best to help. I'm definitely helping. This fight is seriously like one of the easiest ones because the mechanic is so simple, like it's easy to explain. I think that's why I don't mind it, because when you tell people, like, if they don't get it, you're just like, oh, stand behind the lanterns. And then they see other people standing behind the lanterns, and it's like, oh, it's just really simple to, not only to do, but to explain. We got our second Stoneborn. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I'm like, just take it into the boss. Because when the first Stoneborn fades, you can grab the second one. You don't have a lot of time to grab it, but you will be able to grab it quickly. And the damage that they do is just insane. It's very nice to have a Venthyr here.
You must face your punishment.
We do have quite a few interrupts. Like, we had a volley that went out, but we have quite a few interrupts, so...
Their pain shall enlighten you.
I popped a cooldown. I'm not using Yulon very well, but...
You must face your punishment.
There we go, finally. Use an enveloping with Yulon out.
My flock needs me.
It's like, if you come through really fast before they start attacking, you can drink here, but I wasn't fast enough. And here we finally have a group. I mean, it's a 9, so, like, they're very well aware that they probably can't just, like, kill the mini-boss. Like, they can't zerg him down fast enough. So, we have everybody just immediately coming in and attacking these guys. So, I'm trying to get Mystic Touch on everything. I'm not worried about it. I'm letting my DPS handle it. Trust in the DPS. At least a little bit. Like, you don't have to trust them 100%. Like, you don't have to trust that they're always gonna, like, kick or whatever. But you could trust that they're gonna handle the ads that are being pulled. And if you're pulling the ads, it's fine to do, like, tons of AoE. And we have quite a few interrupts going on here, too. It's pretty awesome. Yay, into the last boss. Put statue down, go off to the left, sit and drink. Sometimes you'll get jolted out of combat, like immediately, but I didn't, so I'm safe, so I'm gonna keep drinking. There we go. I'm full. Get Mystic Touch up. Get hit by the statue because I'm bad. It's actually because I'm, like, not very good at telling what direction the statue is facing. It's like, clearly it's the direction the statue is looking at, but it's like, alright, but I'm not wearing my glasses when I play, so, maybe things aren't as crisp as they should be. Maybe they're a little fuzzy. It can be hard to tell in an instant what direction the statue is facing. I guess it depends on how tired I am. If I'm tired, it's really hard, but if I'm not tired at all, it's pretty easy to tell. So here comes the shitty part of this. Our tank is a god here by putting down AMC, so we're gonna have an easier time just based off of that. They were maybe a little hasty with it, but I'll take a few ticks of it helping out than not. Again, should always make sure to worry about myself first, because if I die, like, obviously not able to heal anybody. See, and luckily I'm not the only one getting hit by statues today, so I don't have to feel too bad about it. Our mage has proven that they're a pretty good player at this dungeon, so they got hit by, you know, 2 statues now, so making me feel good. Like, oh, I'm not the only one getting beaten up by statues. Alright, it's fine. Alright, this is a good time to use Revival, or, you know, and I busted out my Draenei racial a little early there. Should have held it for another couple seconds, but I knew that I had Revival waiting for me in case I needed it, and I didn't. But I did use Fort Brew. Maybe a little too early, but still, better that I used it than not at all. At least I got some use out of it. We're feeling good here. The guy's almost dead. And then none of us got hit by that, so we're feeling great. Who's pitiful now, bro? Alright, cool. We got some Valor. We got some bonus Valor. We plus 2'd this key. Clean. Yeah, that was like a clean run. Like, you know, it was especially that second boss where like the skip was, you know, nobody failed it. That's wild. I mean, most of the groups I have, somebody has to die on the stairs, and that's a bare minimum. So, alright, we're at Renown 77. We're moving on up. We're getting there. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like a little bit sad that we're not running more with the group because everybody here seems pretty cool. Mage announces that they're going to do a portal, so I wait and don't use my Hearthstone just in case. When a group fails and you have to Hearth out, like it feels really bad to have to like just stand there because you don't have your Hearth up. So taking the portal's nice to prevent that for later. Alright, so like wildly enough, we don't have anything from Painful Bingo again, but we do get to check off something from Wholesome Bingo, and that is where a DPS pulls a ranged mob into melee to make it easier. So congrats to the Death Knights. They are my hero when they do that. Thank you for making sure that things die in a timely manner. I appreciate you. But that's our 2 dungeons for today, so until next time, take care of yourselves and happy healing!